I want to thank you for taking the time to come and learn about the work that we're doing in surgical innovation. The title of our poster is The Value of Scientific Publication in Surgical Device Innovation. My name is Alfred Song. I'm a general surgery resident at Stanford. I received my PhD in biomedical engineering prior to medicine and completed the Stanford Biodesign full-time fellowship last year. The work was a collaborative effort that occurred in Dr. James Wall's group, a pediatric surgeon at Lucile Packard Children's Hospital. Surgical device innovation is a long path that encompasses many stages, but one of the most important steps in device innovation is the generation of clinical evidence, or more specifically, clinical trials, that prove or disprove the efficacy and safety of a new medical device. To the surgical device startup, the clinical trial represents a significant unknown risk in the development of new surgical technology due to the time and cost to execute trials, and the potential for negative results, which would necessarily halt forward progress. The clinical trial provides objective data to assess not only the performance of a new technology, but also may provide other information about the company, such as value and the probability of successfully solving an unmet need. We hypothesize that publishing in the scientific literature correlates with success of surgical device companies as measured by venture capital funding. To answer that question, we queried the PitchBook database for US-based VC-backed surgical device companies with financing deals that closed between 2010 and 2020. These queries occurred between 2019 and 2020, and over 200 companies were found representing greater than 500 financing deals. Each company in the query was evaluated for the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Companies that were included were those that produced one or more medical devices used by surgeons. We also included endovascular implants installed by cardiac surgeons, vascular surgeons, or interventional cardiologists. We excluded companies that produced devices not utilized by surgeons, and these typically included companies that only produced biomaterials, pharmaceuticals, or biologics. To obtain a count of publications associated with each company, we utilized the Dimensions database, which is a database much like the ISI Web of Knowledge, or Scopus, but allows us to utilize an API to programmatically query the database with our Python code. A subset of publications were evaluated from the programmatic results of each company. The mean and standard deviation of deals per company was computed, and it turned out to be 2.5 plus or minus 1.6 deals per company. A linear regression was used to quantify the association between the natural log of publications and post-money valuation, and Fisher's exact test was used to test the association between publications and post-money valuation. All of this was done in Python using the SciPy stats package. Going over the results, Figure 1 is a scatter plot of the latest post-money valuation and the natural log of publications. Post-money valuation is the dollar amount that a company and venture capital firm determines a company is worth. The dotted lines represent the threshold of 20 publications and $50 million. And what we see is that companies with a greater number of publications have higher valuations. Regression analysis shows a statistically significant correlation between publications and most recent post-money valuation. What we can conclude is that companies with 20 or more publications are statistically more likely to be valued at $50 million or higher. Table 1 is a list of the surgical device companies represented in the scatter plot. They're grouped by FDA specialty classification, and although not as easy to see as in the scatter plot, there is a trend where the greater the number of articles, the higher the post-money valuation. In conclusion, we demonstrate that for surgical device companies receiving venture funding, the number of publications correlates with the median deal size. We speculate that the relationship is multifactorial in nature and suggest that at least 4 factors could explain the association we see. These factors are direct and indirect value of publications, survivorship bias, and adoption share. Regarding direct value of publications, this refers to the concept that clinical evidence is valuable to venture capital firms in that favorable results can indicate a reduction in the risks and hurdles to successfully solving a problem and bringing a device to patient care. Regarding indirect value of publications, we speculate that companies that are academically productive with a higher number of publications may demonstrate other value to venture capital firms in signaling the quality of the team, such as technical leadership or the effectiveness of the team. It may also signal to venture capital firms that the need which the company has chosen to solve is important to another group of people, namely the academic community, which validates the work's novelty and impact by accepting it for publication. Regarding survivorship bias, part of what could explain the correlation between post-money valuation and the number of publications is that older, more mature companies have had a longer opportunity to publish. In addition, more mature companies typically are seeing later rounds of funding, which tend to be larger in dollar amount. Finally, regarding adoption share, we have seen some examples of companies that become the leader in their respective market, and as a result enjoy a multiplicative effect. Their status as a standard of comparison for other competing technologies results in their device or company being cited in the works of others, thereby increasing the number of publications associated with that company. So in conclusion, we believe that a thoughtful clinical evidence strategy may have effects beyond proving out safety and efficacy for a new device, and suggests that clinical evidence generation activity of surgical device startups may affect the success of attracting partners in the venture capital community. Future work will be directed towards clarifying the characteristics of clinical evidence strategies that provide greater value to the development of new surgical technologies. We'd like to acknowledge Kate Garrett of Stanford Biodesign for her invaluable feedback on this work, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to our talk.